The El Aboud family has suffered greatly during the Syrian conflict, and I'm proud that the United States is embracing this family as part of our U.S. refugee admissions program.
The U.S. ambassador to Jordan, Alice Wells, welcomes the first Syrian refugee family to be resettled in the United States. Ahmad El Aboud, his wife, and their 5 children arrived in Kansas City last week. They were living in Jordan for the past 3 years after fleeing Syria's civil war. The family was able to come to the U.S. due to President Obama's plan to resettle 10,000 immigrants before the end of September. But the president's strategy faces a setback. So far, only about 1,300 refugees from Jordan have arrived in the U.S. since October. According to the Obama administration, part of the reason is because of the strict vetting procedures that can take 2 or more years. Now the State Department and other federal agencies are trying to speed up the process, cutting the wait time to as little as 3 months, which has some lawmakers concerned.
All right, thanks, Miranda. For more on this, let's welcome in Congressman Brian Babin from Texas. Thanks for being with us today, Congressman.
Great to be with you, John.
It's a pleasure, sir. Now, last year, you introduced a bill to stop refugees from entering the country until the Government Accountability Office reported to Congress on how many refugees were receiving welfare. That bill failed in the House, but you and Congressman Dave Bratt, who defeated Eric Cantor, are working on a new bill. Tell us about that.
I'm glad to tell you. We couldn't get that bill onto the floor to vote, on it. So we know this is a very dangerous program because President Obama's own FBI director, his own Secretary of Homeland Security, is telling him and the nation that they cannot properly screen and vet these immigrants that are refugees that are wanting to come in from this part of the world, in Syria. And we know by the empirical evidence from the attacks at Brussels, the attack at Paris, San Bernardino, many other situations that have occurred in Western Europe and the United States, that refugees are posing a grave risk to our national security and to the health and safety of American citizens. And so for that reason, I have great compassion on these people like this. We just heard about this family coming in after a 3-year wait. But we know that there is an element. ISIS has pledged to exploit this program. We know.
And you say it's time to call time out until we can get a better handle on these folks who are coming in this country.
Exactly
there are those out there, though, Congressman, including Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, who is bashing Donald Trump, among others, in the GOP field for this talk of building walls and the like. Let's take a listen to Zuckerberg here.
I hear fearful voices calling for building walls and distancing people they label as others, for blocking free expression, for slowing immigration, reducing trade, and in some cases around the world, even cutting access to the internet. Instead of building walls, we can help people build bridges. And instead of dividing people, we can help bring people together.
All right, so there you go, Congressman. What's your reaction to Zuckerberg saying we need to build bridges, we need to bring people together and trying to stop this immigration of refugees?
Mark Zuckerberg is a liberal, a left-winger, and political correctness is literally getting people killed today. He's going to build bridges into this country. It's a bridge which would wind up being an open door of opportunity for ISIS and other terrorist groups to come right into our country legally and at taxpayer expense to have a basis of operation for their terrorist groups like ISIS. And I'm not willing to do that. I have compassion on these people, as I said, but we have to stop this program until we can properly vet these people, and that is exactly what I'm trying to do, and my friend and colleague Dave Bratt are trying to do with this amendment and letter to the Appropriations Committee. We need to get this language from the FAST bill, from the SAFE Act from last November, which would make the Homeland Security, the FBI, certify that they are doing enhanced screenings and vettings of these of these potential refugees coming to us from the
Sure.
United States.
Everybody's concerned about their security. There's no question about that, especially with these arrests we're seeing so often in Brussels and the like. Now, Congressman, I also want to talk to you about the presidential race. You're supporting Ted Cruz. A lot of folks in Texas are. But Donald Trump is saying that Cruz and the RNC are trying to, quote, steal the nomination from him. What is your reaction to Mr. Trump?
You know, all I can say is the Republican Party better pull themselves together. These candidates have better stop doing this tug of war. Whoever gets the nomination, I am a very strong supporter of Ted Cruz. I'm from Texas. He is too. He's a constitutional expert. He made some promises and he tried to keep them on immigration and amnesty. And so, for that reason, I'm supporting him. But whoever gets to be the Republican nominee, I'm going to support. We cannot afford the most important thing for us to do is to prevent Hillary Rodham Clinton from becoming our next president and having a continuation of the policies of Barack Obama, which she has promised to do.
Sir, some of your congressional colleagues are saying that they're going to just stay away from Cleveland altogether if this is a contested convention. Your congressional colleague Mick Mulvaney from South Carolina says he's going to sit it out. Kelly Ayotte says she's got her own race to run. Jeb Bush doesn't think he'll be going. Will you be there in Cleveland no matter what?
I can't say that I'll be in Cleveland, but we have plans to try to go. We're going to see. I'm certainly going to my state convention and look forward to that. I just feel like that we have to coalesce. We have to unite in the Republican Party. We have two of the most vulnerable Democrat candidates in a national election that I've ever seen in all my years of being involved in politics, local, state, and now federal. We have a socialist running. And Bernie Sanders. And we've got an FBI investigation going on of Mrs. Clinton, which could wind
Congressman,
up...
last question for you before we got to run, but wouldn't you think the best way to coalesce around the party would be having all members of Congress say we'll be there no matter what, no matter who the nominee is?
Well, I agree with that. I think we need to rally around whoever this nominee is. And that's what I plan to do.
All right. So you'll be there in Cleveland, if you can.
I'm planning on it right now. I certainly am.
All right, fair enough, Congressman. We'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us today. Great to get your insight on these matters. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Congressman Brian Babin joining us today from the nation's capital. Coming up next, New York lawmakers pass family leave for state employees. But who's going to pay for it? You can probably guess. You will. Find out why former Lieutenant Governor Betsy McCoy is calling the new law reckless when she joins us. We're going to talk about this and why some folks think it's a good idea, and maybe the Republican Party might want to get on board. We'll talk about all that and much more when Newsmax Now continues right after this.